So the countdown for Undisputed is on. Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk meet May 18th. And as always, you can click the link in the description below to watch the fight using our link and support the channel. I really appreciate all of you lot who do that. Now, we've looked at the life stories of Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. Now it's time to talk about the story of what happens inside the fight. Looking at the tail of the tape, Tyson Fury is going to be way bigger than Alexander Usyk. We already know that. He is billed at 6'9". He does step on his tiptoes a lot when he's getting measured, but he is the bigger man, clearly. Alexander Usyk, 6'3". But the weight is where the huge difference can be felt. Fury weighs in between 270 and 280 often recently, whereas Usyk is around 220. And Fury's reach is an unbelievable 85 inches compared to Usyk's 78 inches. And in a battle of boxing geniuses here, who can make the most out of their physical attributes? It's clear the tools are in Fury's favor. Now, Fury has 34 pro fights, Usyk only has 21. However, that experience is not the true indicator of where the experience lies, because Alexander Usyk had over 300 amateur fights compared to Fury's 30 odd. It's that big of a gap. And if there's one thing Usyk learned in winning a gold medal in the Olympics, it's how to win rounds. And we see with how he game plans inside of a round. He knows how to start well, how to finish well, and how to leave a mark on the judges as to him being the winner of that round. Now, before we look into the footage, there are a few things that we have to acknowledge about this fight. What happened to Fury against Francis Ngannou could be one of two things. Either Fury is slowing down and really not the fighter he was, and Francis exposed the man whose legs were going, or Tyson Fury, as has happened previously, didn't take the fight seriously enough, came in out of shape, and got exposed for not trying hard enough. We're not going to get the answer to that until he's in there with Alexander Usyk. But one indicator could be what happened to Tyson Fury on the run-up to this fight before it was postponed in getting that cut. Do you get cuts like that in training if you've still got it? Maybe it was just a fluke. Again, we'll find out on the night. And needing that cut to heal up could potentially make Fury's training camp difficult on the run into this again, because you don't want to reopen that cut. And then looking at footage of both fighters, the ideal thing to do was see, how did Usyk deal with a guy who's just like Tyson Fury? How did Fury deal with a guy who's just like Alexander Usyk? We can't do that, because Fury and Usyk are potentially the most unique and different and difficult to prepare for heavyweight fighters in the world. And it's no coincidence that that's why they're both fighting for the heavyweight title, in my opinion. They are so unique in different ways. So let's look at some of the fights. Now, I wanted to bring up this fight between Tyson Fury and Steve Cunningham, because Tyson often talked about how this fight was particularly difficult because he was fighting a guy who was a cruiserweight and was a little bit light on his feet, a little bit harder to get a hold of, a little bit harder to land on. Now, this was back in the day, so Fury was lighter on his feet, in my opinion, than what he will be in this fight, and he looked very sharp. Cunningham was struggling to land on Fury here, to be fair. Oh, lovely backhand from Fury. But I can see why he didn't like this fight, because this guy is very active. It's a high volume, high output fight from him, which is exactly what Usyk's going to give him. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think Cunningham's anywhere near the level of Usyk, but this was why it annoyed Fury. Because if we look at the fight as Fury prefers to fight, it's the slow plodders who don't move around too much, who haven't got a high output, where he's got the stamina advantage, as well as all of the other boxing IQ and the range and everything else on his side. And Cunningham catches Fury in the middle of throwing a punch, where he was completely unaware of the danger he was in. Now, the interesting thing about this fight in regards to Usyk is how Fury went about dealing with the lighter man who's got the higher output. He got his high guard up and stalked Cunningham, and what that meant was that Cunningham's punching, but it's bouncing off the guard. It's not doing anything aside from draining the stamina, and then Fury started working him on the inside. This could be a way that he tries to deal with Usyk. There you go, and high guard, marching him down. Ooh, brilliant from Fury, and you can see that really took a lot out of Cunningham, and he's smothering him, and the oxygen needed to power a style like that is being starved of him by Fury. The way he's putting it on him, he's giving him no time and no space to breathe. And to be fair to Fury, he's putting a hell of a lot of work in here. Like, his legs are having to chase this guy all over the fucking ring. As much as this could work against a Usyk, I don't know if he can do this anymore. And he's taken some big shots off Cunningham. Can you take them off an Usyk as well? Because his movement, he's going to make you miss more than Cunningham does. I gotta say, man, this is fucking great from Fury, though. This is what they call in boxing making the adjustments, right? The first style wasn't working, switch to the next one. And fuck me, he's taking everything off Cunningham here. Fury's still on him. High guard. Brilliant straight right from Fury. Oh, and he's really got him hurt there. And that's the thing is, you know, Cunningham doesn't have the footwork to stay out of danger the way Usyk will. So he was always going to land those kind of shots on him. And he's still at it. He's all over him in round 7 here. He's broken him. He's broken him down here, Fury. He's gone and he's out. And that was partly exhaustion. Fury made him work his absolute hardest because Fury, especially at that time, he's a freak of nature because a man that big shouldn't have that much stamina. And ironically, weaponizing cardio is a Usyk trait. But Fury was doing it there as well, for sure. Again, I don't know if he can do it now. And Fury's camp have now had extra time to prepare for this fight. So if they are trying to employ a style like this, he's going to have to be fit. Now let's look at Fury versus Wilder 1 because Fury's been talking a bit lately about, all right, Usyk, yes, you landed punches on AJ, Chisora and them, but I'm elusive. I'm hard to hit. And he may decide to employ a game plan where he fights a little bit on the back foot and sort of goes from one extreme to the other. He's either all the way out or all the way in and not fighting on the mid-range where Usyk has a lot of his success when people try to punch with him. So nice head movement immediately from Fury. Lots of feints and twitches. Bit lighter than what he's been fighting at recently. And although Wilder's nowhere near the boxer of Alexander Usyk, what he does do is close the distance quickly, which is another thing Usyk does well. So there is some things we can look for here. He's too predictable though, and he only throws one shot at a time, Wilder. It's going to be fascinating to watch Fury in there with someone who can throw those 3, 4, 5 punch combinations and not get tired. Because against Wilder hasn't got a great gas tank. Against a lot of these other fighters, he's fought a bit flat-footed. They can't keep going the way Usyk can. And although Fury's big, he's got a hell of an engine on him. Fury's sticking it on Wilder here because Wilder's not moving from side to side like Usyk will. He's just stationary. But even then, he's responded with a nice little shot of his own there. And honestly, that's the thing I'm most interested to see because, as I said earlier, Fury has never fought someone with really good footwork, in my opinion. I've never seen him have to solve that problem. And although Usyk's never fought anyone quite like Fury, he's fought big men before who were athletic before, in AJ, for example. So this is round 10 out of 12, and we can see Wilder's really tiring now. Remember, that'll be the exact opposite of Usyk. Usyk will be elevating his levels. He'll be pushing the pace at this point. Ooh, still got some fucking zip in them punches though, hasn't he? Jesus Christ. And this is what Fury likes to do. He likes to hop up and down, bang, bang, down the middle, 1, 2, just like he did to Francis Ngannou before Francis returned fire. When you're setting shots up like that, telegraphing them a little bit with that little hop up and down he does, Usyk's going to be onto that immediately. He'll be moving around you. So Fury's going to have to work a little harder to disguise his shots a bit more. And obviously he's got the long reach, which helps him a lot. But any little movements like that before he throws, you can't be doing that. That gives the game away completely. All right, let's take a look at Deontay Wilder, the rematch for Tyson Fury. This, for me, was the best version of Tyson Fury, other than Klitschko. I think some people love that version of him. I think this is the best version of him in terms of balancing that new punching power that he'd gained from working with the Kronk gym and the natural athleticism he was blessed with the good footwork, the movement. It was such a perfect balance. I feel like this could be quite a fast-paced fight because I feel like Fury kind of goes at what pace his opponents go at a lot of the time, which is possibly why he had a poor performance against Ngannou, because maybe he was just going at the pace he thought Ngannou would go at. He doesn't want to overexert himself. He doesn't have to. But if he knows he's in there with a live one, I think Fury will raise his game. And I think with how busy Usyk's going to be, I think he'll be coming to the understanding very quickly in this fight of, I'm probably going to have to finish you if I want to beat you, because winning a decision against Usyk is very difficult. He's won 335 amateur fights, lost 15. The man understands how to win rounds better than anyone Fury will have ever fought in his life. You see, the issue with Wilder when I'm watching him in this first round is his setups are very predictable, whereas Usyk throws while he's moving into the range. So it's not as easy to just be like, I know what's coming here, which Fury could read him like a fucking book in this fight, in my opinion. Nice work from Fury. And with all the feints you see Fury throw in this fight, I'm wondering how Usyk is going to handle that, because he's the guy who feints. He's the one who gets you biting on reactions. And he's probably never had a 6'9" guy feint this much and provoke reactions out to him. And you can see here, Wilder is not sure at all about what to do next. He's very second-guessing himself. And ironically, Tony Bellew spoke a lot about how Usyk did that to him. So whoever controls the other one using the feints, using the psychology inside that ring, could have a massive indicator in who wins. Because if you're the creator and the other guy's the reactor, you're the one driving the narrative. You're the one pushing the direction of the fight. This is really good work from Fury in terms of controlling the range. and with that 85-inch reach, it's going to be fascinating to see how Usyk adapts to that in getting on the inside, because he's used to fighting bigger guys, but there's bigger guys and then there's Tyson fucking Fury. And in handling AJ was very impressive, but I don't think AJ makes as much use out of his height as what Fury does. AJ can be quite like down and set like a boxer. Fury really elongates the distance between the other guy and his chin. And you can see in round 3, because Fury's getting him to react to everything, he's already burning so much energy, Deontay Wilder. This should not be how you're looking in round 3. He looks knackered. There, he's not even reacting to the punches that are coming to him. And this is the drop for Deontay Wilder. The first time he'd been put down by Tyson Fury, and he was sort of turning away as it landed. And this excites me for one reason, because Fury's got them go-go gadget arms that you think you're out of reach of, and then before you know it, they're glancing on the back of the head, the side of the head. And with a mover like Usyk, yeah, it can be hard to time him on the chin or on the head, but it may just be a glancing shot, and there he goes. And I'm confident in Usyk's chin. He took a shot of AJ and he looked fucking good for it, but that 50 pounds added weight minimum that Fury's going to have on him, you can't take many shots of a beast like that. It's mad how athletic Fury looked in this fight. And that body shot drops Deontay Wilder. And a lot of people have been saying that the body shots are the key to beating Alexander Usyk. Not only does it slow the legs down, but he seems to show more vulnerability in taking a shot there than he does anywhere else on his body. And that was a damn good body shot. Now the difference is, Deontay Wilder's 6'6", and he's very upright with quite a long torso. There's a lot of space there to hit. Usyk's a shorter man, and he doesn't fight completely upright, right? He fights to protect the body. So it's easier to land that shot on Deontay Wilder. But the point is it did a lot of damage. And although I wouldn't build a whole game plan around the body shots, it would definitely be a part of a game plan to try and beat Usyk. Because even if it's not the shot that ends the fight, you are putting money in the bank for later on, because when Usyk gets to within a sight of that finish line and that end of that 12th round, his engine turbocharges. And if you've been battering him in the belly for the last 9 or 10 rounds, he won't be able to do that as well. Just having a quick look at the Francis Ngannou fight with Fury. Now, I don't put a lot of stock into this fight because I don't believe Fury took it seriously enough. Even though I've heard from people he did, I've got to err on the side of caution. But when Ngannou turned southpaw, I mean, he landed that shot there from southpaw. He landed another one quite comfortably, and Ngannou has very big reach as well, and he is more explosive than people give him credit for. Fury didn't love him in the southpaw department. He didn't seem to want to throw as much and feel as comfortable when Ngannou turned southpaw. Now, I can't think of two fighters more different than Ngannou in his first boxing match and Usyk being an amateur legend, but it does make you wonder, like, is Fury going to struggle a lot with that bouncing in and out of Usyk from the southpaw stance specifically? Because if he hasn't really sorted things out from this Ngannou fight, which you'd assume he would have done, if he fought Usyk like that, it would be over. Usyk would probably finish him. But like I said, I don't think he was anywhere near in the right frame of mind or shape for that fight, and I do think the Dillian Whyte fight is a better thing to look at it for us. Now, Dillian Whyte, ironically, comes out as southpaw. It seemed like a mental idea at the time, but Fury didn't really like that he went southpaw. He didn't throw as much as what we'd normally expect to see him throw. And even that long shot there could have done something if it wasn't for the fact that Dillian Whyte is like a fish out of water as a southpaw by the looks of it. Yeah, he's not throwing. I don't think he likes southpaws. I really don't, which is mental considering Usyk is probably the best in the world. I could be wrong. He may have been spending so much time sparring southpaws that by the time he gets in the ring with Usyk, it's like, yeah, I'm fine with this. But in those two instances, he's not as comfortable as when he's fighting the orthodox fighter. And bearing in mind, Whyte and Ngannou were just trying to go southpaw for that fight in that moment. That's not their natural style, and whatever they could do in southpaw, Usyk should be levels above. Now, when Whyte goes back to orthodox, you see Fury getting real comfortable now. Just the lack of footwork and the lack of balance from Whyte makes it a bit too easy from Fury. And Fury wasn't even in great shape for this fight, in my opinion, but it was more than enough for the task at hand. And one thing I will give Fury credit for is the head movement. He really makes himself a tough target for these shorter guys. The only way to solve that problem is with good footwork, is with entering, using pressure. Whyte just didn't really offer enough in the movement department to pose those threats to Fury. And I thought when I seen this fight and the Chisora fight, fight, and then the Ngannou fight. Like, Fury generally is slowing down as a fighter, but maybe he was just in a comfort zone, and maybe that Ngannou fight is the rocket up his arse he needed to actually get himself in shape for this fight. And the thing that works for Fury in fights like this is the pacing of them is so well set up to him. He's in control here. Take your time. He's not going anywhere. Couple of little body shots. Fury can take his time with these guys. He's not in danger of losing rounds or losing the fight. There is no panic here. And that's why he's so calm and comfortable. And that will absolutely not be the case against Usyk. Hey, he might still fucking do the business against Usyk. That's entirely possible. But the conditions in which he's going to have to do them are going to be completely different to anything we've seen in the last few fights, if ever. And the one thing I will say is, aside from Francis Ngannou, who did really grow into that fight and believe by the end, a lot of these guys he's been fighting lately had no belief in there. And when you don't believe you can win, you're often negative, you're defensive, you're covering up, you're expecting to get hit and hurt. Usyk's a really positive, confident, stay in your face kind of fighter. And that might just play into Tyson Fury's hands, because with the power he has and the weight of him, if Usyk is being confident and active as he can be, he may walk onto something here. If you're coming in and that straight right of Tyson Fury goes straight through the back of that head, fucking hell, it's going to hurt. And Fury might think, I'm going to set him up here. I'm going to let him be trying to break into my range. I'll go on the back foot a bit and then I'll bloody counter the fuck out of him. Get him going and then go on the front foot, because I think Usyk's used to people just trying to fight fire with him, and Fury might go a completely different route. Because you could argue Usyk is the first boxer that Tyson Fury isn't quite as good as in terms of pedigree. And one of the big mistakes people make when they're fighting a boxer is they try and outbox them. AJ did it a bit. You try and outwork them, you chase them, and it just plays into their game plan. Fury might flip the script, and he's already been mentioning a little bit in interviews here and there about how's he going to hit me when the reach I've got is going to be right in his face. So a back foot Fury could be effective. And Fury didn't really use his roughhouse tactics against Dillian Whyte. He just boxed him because he knew he could. And here it comes, the big uppercut. Dillian Whyte goes out. And that one-shot knockout power that Fury has developed over the years could come in real handy in this fight. And that's Dillian Whyte, who's a big man, and he's wobbled to fuck. Bigger than Usyk. And obviously, Dillian Whyte stood still, right? Usyk doesn't really do that. But still, the power of Fury is a real factor to take into account here. So let's look at Usyk. This was one of his first fights at heavyweight against Del Boy Chisora. The reason I think this is a good fight to look at is because Chisora, while he's nothing like Fury as a fighter, the one thing he did in this fight is really try to bully Usyk and try to roughhouse him with that size, with that strength. And that has got to be part of the game plan for Fury. And a lot of people thought that because of that, Usyk didn't show his best stuff in this fight. So maybe this is one of the answers to the solve the puzzle of Alexander Usyk. And this is one of the first clinches of the fight. Usyk manages to get his underhooks in there on Chisora on one side. So he wasn't, completely overwhelmed by the strength of the big bear. Ooh, Chisora did land a couple of nice shots there. Tell you what, you don't want to take them off Tyson. And this is fantastic pressure from Chisora. I will give him that. And if I mean, look, he is taking shots in the return, but Fury's got a good chin. And I think if we're looking at the Cunningham fight and the way Fury pressed Cunningham and the way Chisora is currently pressing Usyk, you're reducing the element of I hit you, you hit me boxing match that AJ had with Usyk, where Usyk was just the better boxer, and you're trying to swing the odds in your favour by going on the front foot. And yeah, you're taking risks, and yeah, you're running your energy down, but in order to beat a Usyk, you need to do those sort of things. And with AJ, he lacked that throw caution to the wind belief in himself of, I'm just going to throw everything at you, and when I'm done, I'll be knackered, but you won't be standing. He didn't have that. He was too worried about, well, what if he is standing? Because if he is, I'm fucked. Fury's got to have that here, massively. And you'd think with the mental strength Fury does have and has shown in the past that he should be the guy to do that, if anyone can. But I do really like this from Chisora as an idea of how to fight him. The thing is although Chisora isn't a head movement type of geezer and Fury is, I think if Fury was to employ this style, it might be easier to land on him the way Cunningham did. Because Chisora is down here, right? And Fury's very much like, his chin's like a fucking billboard in the sky, right? But yeah, this was good roughhouse shit, man. That was one of the best rounds anyone's had against Usyk. I'm not even shitting you. So fair play, Del Boy. The problem is, as you're putting your foot down on the gas, Usyk's gas maintains better than yours does a lot of the time. And you really have a window of opportunity to get him him out of there, in my opinion. Because once your energy levels cross a certain level and that knockout power is massively reduced and you're just sort of swinging, it's a little lethargic, it's Usyk's fight then. You need to establish, probably before you go into that fucking ring, this is when he needs to be done by. This fight is a 9-round fight, for example. You need to say this is a 9-round fight and I am going to have no energy left by the 9th round, at the end of that 9th round, because that's when he needs to be finished by. Because I already know if we go past that point, he's going to sweep the last few rounds. Now, I could be completely wrong. Fury carries his power late, I'll admit that, and he's got good stamina when he actually trains. So maybe Fury's the exception to the rule. But based on all of the data we have, if you get to 10, 11, 12, Usyk's sweeping those. So why not plan for his downfall before then? Take the risk. It's the undisputed world title. If you're ever going to risk being knocked out, now is the fucking time to do that. We're in round 10 now, and you can see Chisora, while he's still doing his absolute best to put the pressure on, it's slowed down a lot, and this is where Usyk comes to life a lot more. Although, look, Chisora's still swinging with everything he's got, bless him, but Usyk's finding it quite comfortable in there to dodge the punches, to circle around him. Now, Usyk versus AJ was one of the greatest performances I've seen in a long time, and just dealing with danger. We all know AJ has the height, the reach, the power. He's so explosive. He's so dangerous in there. And Usyk showed how to be a matador to the bull. He never stopped moving. And if you're Fury and you're watching this, yeah, I know he thinks he's better than AJ, and that's fair enough, but this is cause for concern. Now, what AJ did here was he went in there with a better boxer and tried to box him, because AJ had a lot of self-belief in his own boxing. Rightly so, he's a fucking gold medalist world champion. But Usyk just showed the level. Not only is he naturally gifted in the Southpaw department, but he was constantly creating and getting AJ to react. He was the one telling the story in there. And the explosiveness of Usyk was really underappreciated before this fight. I honestly don't think he is quite as good as this since this fight. I think this is the best Usyk we've ever seen. The way he's constantly on angles. He's never giving AJ time to set himself to do the most damaging work. And I actually think in terms of just throwing from where you stand, AJ is quicker and more effective at that than Fury. I think Fury requires misdirection, a lot more of a setup. He's cleverer in that sense, but he hasn't got like the natural raw athleticism that AJ does. And even still, AJ wasn't really able to put a dent in Usyk. But what AJ didn't do, which Fury might do to be fair, was he didn't impose himself on Usyk. He was happy to just sit on the edge of range and trade and just say who's the better boxer, whereas Fury should impose himself. He should be more aggressive than this. And because he's not quite as athletic as AJ, in my opinion, if he doesn't do those things to even the odds, Usyk could make Fury look worse than he made AJ look. The amount of tiny little movements Usyk makes to keep you guessing, it's so draining. Nice straight shot from Usyk. And you kind of don't know when that's coming, because he's making all these micro adjustments constantly. You can't get used to the rhythm, because he sells you so many believable feints that when he finally does throw, you're totally lulled into a false sense of security that it's not coming. Because the last time he twitched like this, for the last 5 times, 10 times, he hasn't been throwing. Boom. And that was the boom, right? Just as I've said it. And that was a moment where AJ, despite, Usyk not being the biggest puncher, he didn't fucking like that. And Usyk seems to convince AJ that the shot's coming low and bang, right on the chin. And that's the kind of shot we've seen Fury drop with. Against Cunningham, earlier in his career even. Head in the air, bang. And what I will say is, as much as Usyk at this heavyweight division hasn't looked like the biggest puncher or a finisher, when Fury's hurt, he's in there often with guys who haven't got the energy to put the pace up on him and really go after him. They're almost having to recover from the energy expended into hurting him in the first place. Usyk's a different kind of animal. And if he does get him hurt in there, I wouldn't be surprised if he does get him out of there, because his ability to go, all right, I've got you now, I'm going to up the fucking gears big time. You won't get the same amount of time to breathe, to recover, as another fighter would give you. Like a Dillian White or whatever. People who are carrying extra body weight and don't have the stamina that this psycho has. Now, what I did notice during this fight is that all of those amateur rounds that Usyk has had, he really understands when to take breaks within fights. And in the middle of this fight, there was times where AJ might start strong and he'd go, you know what, you're going to get this round. I already know I need a little bit of a breather here, so I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to keep offering a threat so that you don't know I'm actually saving my energy for the long term here. But I'm not going to come after you the way I am in the other rounds, because I'm content to give this one up, and if I give a few rounds up, that's cool. And he literally did. He gave away 3 rounds. I think it was 5, 6, and 8, something like that, right? In the middle of the fight. If Fury can register when he's doing that, and instead of allowing Usyk to do that can step on the gas in those mid to late rounds, particularly rounds 9. I think statistically, Usyk religiously will take round 9 off. If you recognise that and you could stick it on him when he's not expecting it, that could completely change the fight. Now the problem comes is if you don't get him out of there and he makes it to rounds 10, 11, 12, Usyk's engine seems to go up a gear in those rounds. It's mental. So I want to bring this up just to illustrate the point. This was on Boxing Science YouTube channel. They ran the numbers for the last 5 fights for the punch output of Usyk and Fury. And as you'll see, I mean, consistently throughout the fight, Usyk throws more punches. But in those last 3 rounds, the difference is staggering. Fury operating below 30, Usyk operating above 60. Fucking hell. In the rematch against AJ, Usyk threw around 77 punches on average per round in 10, 11, and 12. I can't even explain how hard that would be. And for a man like Fury, who tends to chill out in those later rounds, that's a lot to ask of him. And I think tactically, if Fury wants to win this fight, to bank on winning those last 3 rounds, given all of the data, it would be stupid. Now, I know it may happen. I know it's possible, but it's not the most likely thing by the numbers. I mean, look at that on a graph. That is mad. Fury's on holiday in the last few rounds compared to Usyk. And that's kind of illustrated by what we said about Usyk's upbringing when his dad was instilling the meaning of hard work and all those values he was raised in. It's evident in his work rate in the ring. Usyk throws 31% more punches than Tyson Fury. So for him to get a decision when the judges are watching so many more punches going from one fighter to another, even that is going to be hard for him. And in the second half of the fight, it's actually worse. It's 38% more punches thrown by Usyk. So that gap just increases the longer the fight goes on because people can't keep up with him. And as I said, Usyk is really going at it in the last 3 rounds, and that percentage difference is 46% more punches thrown by Usyk. So if you let him get to those final 3 rounds, I mean, yeah, you could knock him out. But that's it. You're fucked otherwise. Fury needs to start this fight strong. He can't be, I'm just going to feel this out and be passive. He needs to be aggressive pretty quickly, in my opinion. You can't afford to leave this in the judges' hands, in my opinion. So this is round 11, where Usyk is going after AJ here. And to be fair to AJ, his cardio was superb for this fight. It must have been one of the fittest I've ever seen him. But he's getting pinged a little bit here. And AJ, while he's not like gun shy here, he's definitely a bit more reluctant to throw than what I've seen him before. And if we see Usyk put Fury in a position like that where he's struggling mentally, that would be unbelievable. Now, before we wrap this up, it is important to factor in what else Fury can do, because as Daniel Dubois showed, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And this low blow right here showed there are ways to hurt Usyk, even if they're not all legal. Fury might go back to the bare knuckle roots, right? And all right, he might get a point deducted. He knows he's going to have to fight dirty. I think he's going to try and roughhouse Usyk. And this may be something we see from him, just to slow him down. I hope not, because I want a fair fight. But desperate men do desperate shit, and anything can happen. But we all know Big John wasn't afraid of breaking the rules, right? So it may be a part of the game plan. And look, Usyk got back up and beat the shit out of Dubois, so even that didn't stop him. But I think it is important to factor in everything that can happen on fight night. So this was my look at everything that could happen inside the fight between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, with the World Heavyweight Undisputed Championship on the line. And don't forget, if you want to order the fight, use my link in the description below. Oh, and by the way, we will be live for the title fight on the Pain Game YouTube channel, so don't forget, when the fights are going on, just stop by, put us on your phone, put us on your laptop, whatever. We'll keep you company. If you haven't already, hit the like button, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.